Top 5 head coaches on the hot seat entering the 2025 season. The backdrop, Mike Florio in his kitchen. Okay, the first two coaches that come into my mind are Mike McDaniel and Brian Schottenheimer. Schottenheimer, because the hire was weird. It was deeply criticized. Jerry Jones absolutely hears the criticism. Dallas is a pressure-packed situation anyways. If they struggle, especially if they struggle mightily, Schottenheimer will not be given a ton of time to succeed. Especially if there's a big-time coach waiting in the wings, because Jerry wants to win, and Jerry's going to do whatever he can at any given moment to win. He's not going to let Schottenheimer flounder for 2-3 years. McDaniel, because he is the cautionary tale of when a coach comes with an idea. Mike McDaniel represents a bigger idea, a bigger philosophy of how the Miami Dolphins should be run, should play, should build their team, everything. If that idea is perceived to not be working, then you got to get rid of the coach. And right now, the idea of Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and throw it around and score 1 million points and this specific style of offense and the specific identity, it's not yielding results. Now, that's due to injury or due to other circumstances, but it ain't looking good. And if they get off to a slow start, I have a feeling Mike McDaniel will be an offensive coordinator again real soon.
I wanted to have some time to take under advisement a la Judge Wapner. The coach is on the hot seat entering the 2025 season. I have a countdown from 5 to 1.
All right.
And then I've got a few others I just want to address. So here they are. As of right now, and I mean no disrespect to the individuals involved, this is my assessment of who's on the hottest seat. And this takes into account the fact that the owner of the team may be inclined to make a change, may be feeling desperate. I'm not saying the coach deserves to be fired. I'm just looking at all. I think I've disclaimed it enough.
I mean, you can look at it. You can think about, like, if you go through every team, you can do this by like elimination, like a Sudoku kind of puzzle, where you can go through and say, okay, who's not on the hot seat, right? Like if you looked at the NFC South, Kellen Moore's not on the hot seat, Todd Bowles in on the hot seat. I don't think Canales, if they have a bad year again and Bryce Young takes a step back, maybe. But that's only because, like I said, that means they're punting on the idea of Bryce Young. And then Raheem Morris, I think Raheem Morris would be on the hot seat. If the Falcons have another year where they go full Falcons, I don't think Morris is a great head coach anyways. So, yeah, I think he could definitely be on the hot seat. And then, you go through each division, like New England, Vrabel's not on the hot seat. We just talked about McDaniel. Sean McDermott's not. Aaron Glenn just got hired. So you kind of eliminate certain coaches there. And, someone like me, I could go through and rattle off every single head coach of every single team in every single division like it ain't nothing. But, let's get to Florio.
I don't know why. I mean, I've been a chronic asshole for 25 years. All of a sudden, I'm going to try to be nice. Dave Canales, number 5, the Panthers head coach, entering year 3. If they have a disaster this year, I think David Tepper, in lieu of throwing a drink on a fan, may fill out a pink slip for Dave Canales.
Yeah, Tepper has shown he's very Jerry Jones-esque, where he's not going to sit around and wait. Canales is attached to Bryce Young to a certain extent. He was brought in to fix Bryce Young. There is some momentum. Is it false momentum? We'll see. But yeah, if Carolina starts off similar to last year, where Bryce Young is so bad they have to bench him or whatever, yeah, I could see Canales maybe. I don't think he would get canned in the season though. I think he's safe unless it's a legitimate like 0-10 type debacle. But Canales, he is attached a bit to Young. But I don't know if I'd say he's on the hot seat. I think Raheem Morris is more on the hot seat than Dave Canales.
If they have a disaster, and I know there's kind of a vibe that, hey, maybe the Panthers are going to – look, maybe they will. I don't know. But I know this. There's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9 teams at the end of the year.
Here's something that no one talks about because no one cares except me. The Falcons or the Panthers were the worst team, the worst defense by far. Only one team gave up 500-plus points last year. The Panthers, okay? Their defense was abysmal, absolutely horrible. And it has nothing to do with Dave Canales and nothing to do with Bryce Young. Here's the craziest part. They brought the DC back. They retained the DC. Okay. Insane. No one's talking about that. Most points given up, worst defense in the NFL. Bring the DC back. So we're going to sit here and talk about Bryce Young took a step, Dave Canales, quarterback whisperer. Okay. Well, if that defense does what it did last year,
that the feeling is going to be they sucked. And what are they going to do to get better? And if the Panthers fall into that band of teams, could be they disband the coaching staff and David Tepper finds somebody else. Next up.
So I said this last year too, sidebar on the Panthers. I thought if the Panthers would have had their pick instead of Chicago having it, I think the Panthers would have taken Caleb Williams and punted on Bryce Young. If the Panthers are bad enough to be flirting with that first overall pick, I think Tepper's the kind of guy that would make the call and say, okay, I'm cool with losing. We're firing everybody. We're drafting whoever you think the first overall pick is going to be next year.
Number 4, Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer. And look, Jerry.
Dallas is Dallas. Jerry is Jerry. This coach is always going to be on the hot seat, whether it's Jason Garrett, whether it's Mike McCarthy, doesn't matter. I mean, Jimmy Johnson was on the hot seat. And so it's like you can go ahead and just pencil in the Dallas Cowboys coach as long as Jerry Jones is running the show.
Jones doesn't like to pay coaches to not work for him. And if the contract has guaranteed money beyond 2025, and who knows, maybe it doesn't. I mean, Brian Schottenheimer's ship finally comes in at a time when it seemed like he was never going to get a chance to be a head coach. Maybe he agreed to a contract that has no guarantee for 2026, has a team option after 1 year. If Jerry Jones can avoid having to pay Brian Schottenheimer next year, that could make him vulnerable if this season doesn't go well. And when you consider the quality of the division they're in, forget.
I tell you what, I'm a little higher on New York, I think, than most teams, the Giants, because of their defensive line, because I think Daboll can work some magic. I think Russell Wilson is still good enough to get something out of him. Malik Neighbors is good. I think there's pieces there in New York. Philadelphia is obviously good. Washington's obviously good. Dallas could be last in that division. And if Dallas is last in the division, Jerry is going to flip everything upside down.
About the Eagles and the Commanders. If they fall behind the Giants, and if the Cowboys end up in last place in the division, I think Schottenheimer could be out after only 1 year. And as we know, coaches getting fired after 1 year happens a lot more frequently than people realize. Yeah. It could happen in Dallas. Number 3, and I'm not saying he deserves it.
I don't know. I like Shane Steichen a lot. I think Daniel Jones. I think he could resurrect Daniel Jones' career, similar to how KOC resurrected Sam Darnold's career. I think Steichen's a good coach. I think Anthony Richardson is absolute garbage. I think he's horrible. Jones is a guy who's proven he can be kind of molded. I mean, Daboll got him to the playoffs, so I think the Colts will be okay. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to, win 14 games like the Vikings did last year, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'll put it to you like this. I think it's more likely that Shane Steichen is coach of the year than he gets fired.
Dealt a bad hand. Chris Ballard, the GM of the team, has been dealt a bad hand, but Shane Steichen, it feels like we're getting closer and closer to the expiration date. We've got new ownership following the passing of Jim Irsay. We don't know what the Irsay sisters think about Steichen. We don't know how they're going to feel after this season. I think Daniel Jones is going to be the starting quarterback. We're going to see what he can do. And he's going to be carrying on his shoulders the obligation to potentially save Steichen's job.
Yep.
At number 2, the place where Daniel Jones used to be.
Again, I'm kind of high on New York, but Daboll is absolutely... Now, here's the one caveat with Daboll. He's got the greatest get-out-of-jail-free card of any coach can ask for. That's a franchise quarterback waiting in the wings. Brian Daboll will be able to say, if they're 1-8, he'll be able to say, well, let's go to Jackson Dart. And if Jackson Dart looks good, all of a sudden, Daboll can say, no, I got him. I got him rolling. I got some momentum with him. We can figure this out. Give me a year with Jackson Dart. So I don't think Daboll, the only way, I don't think Daboll, it would have to be a disaster and Dart would have to be playing unsuccessfully. Because I don't think you fire Daboll without giving Dart a chance. Daboll drafted Dart. Like, why would you fire him and not even get the chance to see Jackson Dart? So what are the chances that the Giants are horrible And then Jackson Dart comes in, and he's horrible. I just don't know if I see all that. So I think Daboll he's given himself a year with Dart, but
New York Giants. Now, I'm a firm believer that John Mara, the co-owner of the team and the guy who's in charge, he needs to make it clear to everyone that he's behind both Coach Brian Daboll and GM Joe Schoen, and that the commitment to keep them wasn't just a year-to-year thing. But see, the problem is, as we've said before, Mara, a day after renewing the commitment to Daboll and Schoen, said, I've just about run out of patience. If that's true, are they on the hot seat? It sure feels like it. I don't think they should be. I think if you're going to make this thing work, you got to give it time. I
don't think you draft Dart. If they're on the hot seat to this extent, to where you might fire them midseason into this year, then why draft Dart? Why go get Wilson? To me, it looks like the Giants have an obvious plan of let Wilson play this year, see if they can be around 500, let Dart learn, and then let Dart take over next year. They have a great defensive line, decent, Malik Neighbors, good, very good. Tyrone Tracy, fine. I think there's enough there that they won't be horrible. And if they're not horrible, I think you give Daboll time to develop Dart.
Dysfunctional teams give it time. And I think Mara is trying his damnedest to break from the dysfunction of the past 10, 12 years where they're firing coaches and GMs all the time. We'll see. Maybe hard to do if the Giants end up in the basement in the NFC East. If they end up 3-14 or 4-13, or
if it's that bad, but in that situation, more than likely they bench Wilson, play Dart. Dart's awful. But then you kind of back yourself into a corner where you probably have to. If you fire Daboll, you have to hire an offensive-minded head coach. You have a lot riding on Jackson Dart and the promise of Jackson Dart.
Even 5-12, we'll see.
I don't think 5-12 gets him fired.
And at number one, as much as I like him, I feel like Mike McDaniel in Miami, this is up or out year for him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but I think it's the whole thing. It's like the opposite of Daboll. Daboll has a couple of years to run with this thing. McDaniel's on the end of his couple of years, right? The McDaniel, Tua, Tyreek Hill, this new style of offense, this new whatever. We're a couple of years into this, so this is where it's like, all right, we tried this experiment. It looked good at a certain point. Maybe that was the peak. Can they get back to that? Is there more to it? Or was it a flash in the pan with no staying power? And this is the year where 100%, if they are, I would say under 500 probably gets them fired. And probably Miami starts to move on from Tua and do what they have to do financially to kind of offload Tyreek Hill and Tua and McDaniel and just start anew. Anything well under 500, like 7 wins, 6 wins, cooked. But I think 8 wins, I think he probably gets fired. So he's going to need 9, 10, 11, 12 wins to save his job.
If he doesn't do enough, and I don't know what the standard's going to be to get Stephen Ross to keep him, and I don't know if Stephen Ross is even thinking about making a change. He said after the 2024 season, both Chris Greer, the GM, and Mike McDaniel coming back, and all the right things, right? Because you don't want your guys to think they're on the hot seat. You don't want to be dragged.
Usually when you have that external announcement, it usually means, whether it's spoken or unspoken, it usually means, hey, you got one more chance. Like, I'm going out here and I'm saying they're coming back. Wink, wink. That means, 3 strikes, you're out.
Down by stress. You want to be able to put their best foot forward. But if the Dolphins aren't competitive this year, if they finish 3rd or 4th in the AFC East and miss the playoffs,
yeah, it's probably over.
It could be.
But doesn't it feel like it's a package deal? Like, doesn't it feel like if you're giving up on McDaniel, you're giving up on Tua, and if you're giving up on Tua, you're giving up on Tyreek Hill, and you're giving up on, doesn't it feel like it's all just kind of the same thing? And doesn't it feel like it all is kind of time? Like, if they win 7 games, isn't it kind of time to figure out, how can we offload Tua? How can we start over?
It could be the end of the road. I don't know what Stephen Ross is going to do, but it could be the end of the road. We keep hearing about culture change. Why are we changing the culture? Because the existing culture isn't working.
Yeah.
Because, look, they overreacted when they fired Brian Flores. They moved on from the Belichick-style hard ass, and they went all the way to the other end of the spectrum with a player-friendly coach who doesn't hold his guys accountable. And now, all of a sudden, he's going to hold guys accountable. I don't know that it's going to work.
Yeah, you never know how this stuff is, but I've heard rumblings that McDaniel is losing the locker room. He's starting to be a pushover. Players are starting to not. I'll tell you this, too. I think it was Colin Cowherd who said this. You can... Colin's a big, no backwards hat, no this, no that. Well, Mike McDaniel wore and wears joggers and, he's a sneakerhead and all that stuff. So it's that stuff is fine when you are winning. Quirks and uniqueness and whatever is cool when you're winning and putting up 500 yards a game and you're a genius. The second you start losing, you can't wear joggers on the sideline. You can't be quirky. You can't do all this stuff. The shtick doesn't work when you're a 6-win team or a 7-win team. And I think that's where Mike McDaniel is right now, where the quirky genius act is cool when you're good. But he's getting to the point to where I think players are looking at him and he's not a quirky genius. He's just someone they don't respect.
And I don't know that Tua is the guy. And I think some of those guys who have been linked with leaving, they may have come to the conclusion Tua is not the guy.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure this year for a lot of people in Miami.
Yeah,
and if the wheels come off early, could be interim coach with a full-blown search beginning then and culminating in a new coach being hired after the season ends. A couple of other names that I think I need to address, like
I said Raheem Morris. If we just go through the rest of them, if you look at, let's go through the AFC. The AFC North, I've heard Stefanski a few times, but 2-time coach of the year, he's got a horrific roster. I don't think you can fire Kevin Stefanski until you are far and away from the Deshaun Watson situation. Tomlin's not going anywhere. I mean, you start getting into a situation where, if you're Cincinnati, how long do you give Zach Taylor? How long do you... I think Zach Taylor might be on the hot seat too. You got Joe Burrow. You have all these players. You're 9-8 back-to-back years. I think you can put Zach Taylor up there. And then obviously John Harbaugh's not going anywhere. In the West, I think you're good. I mean, it might be the best coach division in NFL history with Reed, Harbaugh, Carroll, and Shawnee Payton. That's the AFC South we already talked about. I mean, Liam Cohen's new. I think. I mean, Brian Callahan might be. He certainly is on the hot seat. I think after what Tennessee did last year, you get Cam Ward. I think he's on the hot seat. I don't think he's attached to Cam Ward the same way that other coaches are attached to draft picks because he was there last year. I could see him not exactly like Eberflus in Chicago, but I don't think Callahan. I don't think Callahan is on a lukewarm seat for sure. AFC East, we already talked about. If you go through the NFC North, I mean, Campbell's chilling, KOC's chilling. The Ben Johnson is Ben Johnson. Let's see, Matt LaFleur's Matt LaFleur. NFC West, Kyle Shanahan's fine, McVay's fine, McDonald's fine. Let's see, what else you got? Then Gannon, I think Gannon's okay too. I mean, if Arizona was really bad, I think Gannon might be looked at. He's kind of in Steichen's boat where have they done enough to save their job? It might be time for a restart. I think Gannon's on a lukewarm seat. NFC South we talked about. NFC East we talked about. So there you go. It's every coach just rattled off. Boom, 32 coaches like it's nothing.
With Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, I actually think the 49ers are going to be good this year. But if they have a disaster, I don't know what Jed York's going to do.
There's no way you fire Kyle. There's no way you fire Kyle Shanahan. No way. I'll tell you this: if Kyle Shanahan gets fired, all these lukewarm coaches I'm talking about fired. Schottenheimer fired. Callahan fired. McDaniel fired. Gannon fired, because all those teams are opening up the door and saying, "Hey, Kyle, hey." Come on. Even Canales. See ya, brother. Fired. Hey, Kyle, you want to come over here and help us out? All of a sudden, every coach that's questionable canned.
49ers are one of those teams that would be dysfunctional, but for the fact that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have done a great job of overcoming the dysfunction. So when you have an owner who may decide, I just need a fresh start, if they fail to make it to the playoffs this year, if they are on the wrong side of 500.
I also don't think you fire Kyle after the Purdy thing, because you have to give Purdy the contract with the understanding that Kyle can get the best out of him. You don't give Purdy that contract and then fire Kyle Shanahan and go get Mike McCarthy.
I just don't think that's going to happen. But if it does happen, it's something to keep an eye on. The situation in Green Bay is kind of awkward with a new team president and CEO, Ed Policy. He said that there won't be extensions for Matt LaFleur or GM Brian Gutekunst before the season. So it's going to be after the season. They're going to decide, extend or move on. Those are the only choices.
LaFleur,
I don't know why you'd move on from LaFleur and Gutekunst given what they've done during their time on the job. It's just awkward because it's out there. It's hanging out there. We're not going to extend them before the season, which means after the season, they either get extended or they get asked to leave. And then the two AFC North coaches that I think are getting closer and closer to just weird. John Harbaugh in Baltimore and Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. I think both guys deserve to have their jobs as long as they want them.
I think Tomlin, I agree, and I think that is kind of the working relationship. But I think Tomlin might be coming to the end of just, I think he's close to retiring. And, he seems to just kind of be coasting by. The game does seem to have passed him by. I mean, John Harbaugh is legitimately chasing Super Bowls. He's got the MVP or an MVP candidate. He has a really good team. He's trying to make that push. Baltimore's in a great spot. Pittsburgh, they've been treading water for a long time, for about 10 years. So Tomlin is in a situation where it's like, man, damn, is this it? It's almost like Roethlisberger, where Roethlisberger at the end is like, all right, yeah, he can still play, yeah, but man, it might be time to hang him up. And I think Tomlin and retiring is coming sooner than later.
But at what point does ownership decide we need to make a change? And I think if the owner of either team decides, Steve Bisciotti in Baltimore or Art Rooney II in Pittsburgh, if they decide to do something, I think you make them available in trade if they want to be traded. I mean, they have to want to be traded or it's pointless. Maybe the coaches decide it's time to walk away. But there's too much spinning of the wheels in the mud. There's too much close but no cigar. Now,
Baltimore is legit. This would be crazy timing to do that. Pittsburgh, it makes sense.
Ravens, it's getting back to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
For the Steelers, it's winning a playoff game. But long drought for both teams. Ravens haven't been to a
I don't think the Steelers have won a playoff game since 2016.
Super Bowl since the 2012 season. They've had the league MVP twice since 2019.
I think Harbaugh also is safe because of Lamar Jackson. Lamar is so good right now. Why would you upset that at all?
Had the number one seed twice. They just haven't been able to cash it in. And again, Harbaugh should have that job as long as he wants. He should be able to retire there. I just wonder the cumulative stress and pressure of getting close and not getting it done. Does it cause ownership to say, we're right there. We just need that one extra kick to get over the top? And in Pittsburgh, they are doing desperate things to try to win a playoff game. The DK Metcalf contract, unprecedented display of desperation by the Steelers. They've never behaved that way before.
Yeah, the Steelers are just kind of wilding out. It feels like it's like they're just putting it all on the table. If it doesn't work out this time, everyone's going to agree to disagree. Tomlin retires, they get rid of everybody, and then the Steelers are in a full rebuild.
Aaron Rodgers thing, unlike the Steelers. So if they fail to win a playoff game, what else will they do that's unlike the Steelers?
Hi, it's Mike Florio.
All right, there you go. What do you think? What 5 coaches would you put on the hot seat? Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.